across all schools in Cayman. Bring the children, bring the family, help inspire the next generation scientist. The Bill Rudy Rotary Central Science Fair, an intersection of young people in science. Rotary Central, creating hope in the world.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And now, Barbados. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk Today.
What is on your mind, Cayman? If you are ready to talk, we are ready to listen. Here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us on another terrific Tuesday's edition of Talk Today, as we invite you for the first hour and 11 minutes and 0 seconds. Some open line until 1:30. Want to hear from you. We're going to talk about everything. We might not solve the world's problems. We might even cause more trouble than normal. But hey, if we do it together, we do it in love, we might get somewhere. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Avoid any statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use indecent language or make any statement that is false or misleading. Call 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990, 949-8037, or WhatsApp us on 925-3261.
Email Talk Today at candw.ky. Let your voice be heard.
And now, back to Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, Radio Cayman Talk Today.
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining us. It's going to be open line here until 1:30, and then our friends from the HSA will join us. Let's check, confirm, make sure that the phones are up and working, and that you have that access that we want to ensure that you do. So give us a shout on 949-8037 or 949-6990. Thumbs up if they're working, yay, or 925-3261. Some days it'll say, you got to laugh at life passes your way, because if not, what else would you do? Well, laughter, they say, is good medicine. A little lighthearted levity sometimes brings that joy and then puts the pep in the step. So what's on your mind? 949-8037, 949-6990. Open line here until 1:30. If you will share your thoughts with us, be glad to hear from you. Had an interesting couple of days. I'm finding myself increasingly, asking questions and having them answered and going, man, be careful what you say. A friend reminded me earlier that perhaps I manifested it last Monday, yesterday a week. I shared in passing. These phones, they're almost like a leash. They almost define and confine us in many respects. I wish I didn't have one. Didn't need this one. And lo and behold, on Friday, what happens? Well, I was out. No access to phone, no email, WhatsApps, no contacts, no ability to call anybody because I don't remember, the numbers. Maybe you're different. I remember a day when we all could remember, each other's phone numbers and all the information. Nowadays, we didn't even know our own phone number. And maybe when that is planned exercise, when you do it deliberately and consciously, and you decide, I'm going to do a digital detox. I'm going to step away from the phone for a while, whether it's an hour, a day, a week, or a year. If you decide to, perhaps it's better. But when it happens unexpectedly, unplanned, and all of a sudden, as I were, in mid-step, doing something to go to the weekend, but again to Dennis and Janice over at Sell the World, and they work feverishly. I thank them for restoring as much as they could. But it reminds us of how disconnected we have become, how dependent on technology we have become. And because of technology, perhaps we're disconnected. If he doesn't mind me saying, he said it a long time ago, and I remembered it now. I would expect that maybe the ensuing decades have caused us to rethink. But the gentleman, Mr. Mark Archer, one day said, in holding his cell phone, he said, this is a good device for communication, but not conversation. And by that he meant, you call someone up, you exchange information, but you arrange to meet and have a better sense of discussion. And is that what is happening? We're looking at many jurisdictions that are considering what should be happening with this thing called social media. Should there be legislative restrictions on the age at which you can access? Now, I do not have an exhaustive answer. I have not, with any greater, sort of intent, looked into it any more than just a couple of things, and I want to invite you to share. We saw the other day on the BBC, lady, what was it, 105, 108? I forgot the age of her latest birthday. And she saw, World War One. She was a few months when it started, she was born, or a few months after it started, she was born, how that worked. And she has seen life evolve and unfold in the century since. And she shared perhaps some of the things that may be a challenge to society is the cell phones and the social media and all the other things that we give our children. Her suggestion, as reported by the BBC, is that you should be 16 years old before you get one of these phones. Now, many of us will go, really? I mean, that's unconscionable. Is that even something that we should consider? But why is she saying that? What has she seen? How can we benefit from her perspective? It is her opinion. And at that age, if you can't voice what you're thinking, wow. But as I listened to it more and had a chance to speak to a couple of individuals who, as educators, but also researchers, have said, do we see the impact on the individual? The way we're hunched over, the way our hands, in particular, some of the digits on our hands are being impacted, the way that the physicians are reporting that people's eyes and neck strain and all these other ailments are perhaps becoming more and more evident. Is it that our use of these devices are causing that? We know that there was a push one time that we're sitting too much at our desk. We're not, moving up and down enough, and as a result, there are other issues affecting our health and well-being. So much so that many people are now encouraged to stand at their work, not be seated constantly. We have these desks where we can stand up. We're seeing newscasters on air present their reports from a standing position. Now, there are many who stand up all day. They're on their feet. That's how they work. There has to be a balance. So what is your thoughts on some of the things that are happening? 949-8037 or 949-6990, or you can WhatsApp call at 925-3261. But back to the issue of being disconnected as a people and being so dependent on the technology. And the latest comments that perhaps at 16 years old is when we should first be given and allowed to use a cell phone and tablet and all these other things. Now, in the U.S. and other jurisdictions, considerations being had to whether or not there should be some heavy restrictions and limitations relative to the use and access by young people. Again, international news reports that the U.S. Parliamentarians and their unanimous decision to force the sale of the Chinese-owned TikTok because of national security issues, allegedly, as reported in the U.S., access to it and what is just being sort of used on that platform is wholly different from what transpires in China. Well, let's take this call. Hey, welcome. Thanks for calling. How are you today?
Good afternoon, Mr. Sterling.
And to you, sir. How are you today?
I'm still a believer in investing and the people, investing in the people. that I mean, if we can talk to the fine lady, and she can tell us that you know, it strengthens the certain people, high net worth individuals, like singers, for example, strengthen the Cayman economy. Then what about strengthening or investing in Caymanians, singers, for example, certain people, artists, different types of people, skilled people, different types of people. I mean, it definitely it has to be good for the Cayman economy. So I mean, invest in the people. I mean, not just a certain age, but invest in different age people. Older people can sing. Put some money into them, and different different areas of life. Different areas of life. I mean, it can only strengthen it. It's a serious amount of money that can be made from that.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
It is, and as you were sharing, I'm thinking that perhaps over the years, a government's sort of perspective relative to attracting the tourism clientele, maybe they were targeting a particular market. Perhaps, words recently like the uber wealthy, the higher net worth individuals, and the uber wealthy were maybe the ones that we were looking at. But I wonder, and you do raise excellent points, hopefully we're listening and engaging. I wonder to what extent there is this, as I said, this dependency, almost, this need for us to ensure that the pace of construction continues because we have this insatiable appetite and we need the funds through whatever revenues that we raise to pay for the sort of operations of government. But then how is that impacted negatively by the granting of concessions? So do you think then that there are instances where as a country we need to stop and rethink our approach and question whether it's necessary in this day and age, as an example, to give a concession for a construction project along 7 Mile Beach or even in the country as a whole?
Well, I don't know too much about concessions and that sort of stuff.
No, fair enough.
But I certainly believe that the building, the construction of all these buildings should continue.
Mm-hmm.
I can figure out some. Well, I don't want to get into that.
Not a problem.
But
Understand.
But I believe in the building and that sort of stuff. Investing in the country. The investors putting their dollars into the country and getting something back.
Yeah.
Because they got to get something back. They got to get their returns and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
The restaurant owners, the different types of people, different types of business people, and I mean, do the best that they can.
Yeah.
For themselves as well as us.
Yeah.
I mean, they gotta do something. They actually, some people might say, well, who are we developing for? But they're actually developing for themselves and for us.
Yeah.
It trickled down to us. We benefit. We benefit from it in different ways, more than one way, more than two ways.
Yeah, man. Well, I always appreciate when you put something on the table. Anything else you want to share before we take the break? Okay, man.
Oh boy, not right now.
Not a problem, man. We'll catch up when you're ready. All right, take it easy. All right.
Okay.
All right. Let's pause. When we come back, open line until 1:30. Let's hear from you. A couple of things we want to ask. Questions relative to the minimum wage and its impact, and the notion of Caymanians and Cayman. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips for all occasions and celebrations. Let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
Find your dream car with a Cayman National Vehicle Loan. Enjoy 100% financing, up to 8-year repayment, and a 7% fixed interest rate for the first 5 years. For eco-friendly cars, we'll waive your commitment fee. This only applies to new vehicles. Call 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
Attention Cayman Brac customers, it's time to connect to Pipewater and tap into savings. Save money with a lower rate than trucked water. Take advantage of a waived connection fee until the 31st of December 2024. Plus, being connected to Pipewater means you don't need to buy bottled water, reducing the plastic waste at the landfill. Contact Water Authority today to access a reliable source of pure, wholesome, and affordable drinking water straight from the tap.
It's Digicel's 20th birthday bash, and you're invited. We are giving away 20 phones for 20 years. Win an iPhone or a Samsung smartphone as part of our anniversary celebration. Simply spend $20 or more at Digicel or be an active postpaid customer, and you could be our lucky winner. It's our way of saying thank you for 20 incredible years of connection and support from our amazing customers like you. Don't miss out on this epic celebration. Go to your nearest Digicel store today and join the party. Digicel, better connected.
You know what I love to do with my family? Go fishing. I can put the bait on and cast and reel the line all by myself. My mommy and daddy say when they were little, there were plenty more fish to catch, but now there are lots more people fishing, so it's harder to find them. That's why we have marine parks now. They set some areas aside so the fish there can have babies and grow bigger. Then they swim out to other areas where I can catch them. Having the marine parks means there will still be fish there when I'm grown up and fishing with a family of my own.
For more info, download the Cayman DOE app or visit doe.ky.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks very much for joining us. 949-8037, 949-6990, or a WhatsApp call at 925-32621. As we're going into the break, we looked at a couple of messages, and we're going to ask you if you would be inclined to weigh in light of a number of things. We're expecting a lot of conversation, discussions, promises, and plans as we go into the elections next year. As it is now, the expectation that since the last one was held in April, that this one would in fact be the same. Now, it is possible, not expected, not anticipated, certainly not desired, that it could be earlier, but that's not impossible given what transpired previously. having said that, no date has been announced, and I believe we have, with great sense of justification, saying excellent confidence, and not only the personnel but the office of our elections that manage our national elections. But with that in mind, we've seen much discussion relative to the cost of living, with a growing call for higher wages. Interestingly, I had a very, very sort of enlightening discussion by some students earlier who were sharing that on one hand, if the entry-level minimum wage is at a certain sum, then at least there's an expectation that you would earn a few dollars, and whenever there are any deductions for the pension, health, if it has to be paid by the employee, there'll still be someone to take home. But that isn't expected in many instances to be the sum that people earn in order to make a living, even if minimum wage is calculated at the minimum hours and the like. But one student, he questioned a couple of things. One, he said, well, who is paying for this increased wage that is being paid to employees? Businesses are not in the business of charity, they're in the business of making money. And that increased wage bill will be reflected in increased prices of the goods and services. And if the people who are presumably at the lower end of the wage scale are on a work permit, then is it to be understood that they will be the ones who would primarily benefit from any increase in wages? If that is the case, and if allegedly a lot of this money is being sent back to other jurisdictions, then are those remittances meaning more money taken out of the economy? And again, how does that benefit the people here, the economy, and the government? Now, these are students asking these questions. Surely we as adults probably have done the same, or hopefully, as we take this call. Welcome, thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Sterling. How you doing?
Hey, how are you, man? How are you?
I'm giving thanks every day.
Well, you know what? You remind us that we should, so thank you for telling us that in case we haven't.
Yeah, no doubt. We gotta give thanks. I just called in only because I heard you obviously talking about minimum wage.
Uh-huh.
Clearly that's an issue that we are facing right now.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that you spoke to some younger people in the community. Obviously, those are going to be the future leaders, hopefully. One thing I want to point out, which you mentioned just now, obviously, I've written one or two articles and posted them publicly, just share my opinion, really. And one of the biggest setbacks I see with even considering anything more than what we're currently paying, not that I'm not in favor of people making more money. Let me make that clear.
No, right.
Right? I'm just simply saying that it's because we're at a point where we didn't really have any proper labor structure in place in order to identify a sustainable labor force in which we face now. Because I know you've heard me said on many, many, many occasions that Mr. Rod Seltzer, and forgive me if I pronounced that wrong or said it wrong, if that's not his correct name.
Seltzer. Yeah.
Seltzer, right?
Yeah.
He used to be in the hotel management industry. And in 1972, before I was born, and before a lot of people in Cayman were born, he wrote an article in the Nor'Wester magazine, and he clearly outlined and stated the issues that we would face in the future had we not put in a comprehensive structure and training program to create the awareness that was necessary for our local harvest to work in the various areas, right? And he also highlighted that another 100-room hotel wouldn't be the answer. It would just create to the problem, because in the future we'd be fighting against cheap labor, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
The problem we see today is that we haven't been able to differentiate between cheap labor and local labor or any labor at all. We have taken and casted everybody in the same pool. So it is not unreasonable to mention that individuals who are on work permit, which is 36,000 and change now since the last number came in, is to say that those are the individuals who are enjoying whatever wages we increase, but they contribute less to our economy than the local people, naturally, because most of them are in transit. A lot of them our hair long enough, our rollover policy is ineffective. It isn't working the way it should. Loopholes and all sorts of things are being exploited in that, but we're not willing to shut those doors because we don't want to upset a potential voter.
Mm-hmm.
So the reality is that we have a mess. We have a complete mess where we're spending millions and millions of dollars to upgrade infrastructure to accommodate people who send all their money back home.
This is it.
And these are some real issues. Not only that we have a labor displacement or a cost of living issue. We having a lot of issues where we are bound by the Constitution to respect everybody's human rights, depending on what we have highlighted that to be in the Constitution. And we have to walk very lightly when we implement wages or laws or labor laws that might infringe on somebody's human rights. And a Constitution which we all sat down around the table and drafted up, so we don't got nobody else to blame but ourselves. So, man, it's a very frustrating exercise to just think about this whole thing, knowing what the pros and cons are.
Yeah.
And for the younger generation to have to deal with something that has manifested over a period of 35, 40 years, or probably longer.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to be nice.
Yeah, man. Can I ask, when you're finished, I want to ask you something emanating from the comments of these students earlier today.
No, by all means that.
Yeah, man, thank you. Because you're not only a great social commentator, but I think you're cognizant of what people are saying, and then you can analyze it and critique it in a way that is not only constructive but beneficial, right? And some of the students earlier, they said, and I'm pretty sure I have this verbatim, they feel, as Caymanians, they feel as if they're guests in their own country.
Mm.
Now, these are still teenagers, okay? They're not 19 yet, they're not 20, but they're still teenagers.
Right.
And I'm asking, as I listen to them, what is transpiring? What have we done? Billy Joel in one of his songs talk about woe be unto us if we are the reason for their unanswered prayers, right?
Well, let's address that concern right now.
Yeah.
The concern is, Sterling, is because when you look at all of the service industries, who working in those industries?
Okay.
Right? They're not Caymanians, and it's not because Caymanians don't want to work in there. It's because Caymanians can't work for the same wage and expect to contribute all of their wages into a high cost of living jurisdiction such as Cayman.
Right.
Whereas the person on a work permit who's pooling their resources and living together and spending very limited amount of money in our economy, they can afford to work for it.
Right.
So we've developed this misconceived idea that Caymanians don't want to work in this industry.
Can I also complement what you're saying by adding, I've been made to understand that in a number of sectors, but let's use the hospitality as the one that you referenced, that let's say a wage for a particular employee, whether it's a server or otherwise, is advertised at a very, very low sum. But in fact, the person is paid a higher sum and also shares in gratuities, tips, and other benefits, all right, that presumably or allegedly aren't always offered to the Caymanian employee to the extent. I understand that some individuals, when they apply for these same jobs, are sold the job in such a discouraging way that they would be almost inclined to refuse any offer that is given, and when one is put in writing, it is so low, right? Now, if that is the case, and let's say it's not, and let's say that many of these people in that sector are being paid what is advertised, how is it that allegedly some of them? Well, go ahead, and I'll come back to something else that I.
No, finish.
Okay, so so that people understand, I don't know the names of individuals. That is not the point of the exercise. It is what it appears to be a practice. So some people in hospitality, for instance, are now in Cayman working in a job that seemingly is advertised at a very low wage, is able to go to the bank, qualify for financing, and owns not only the property which he or she occupies, but 2 or 3 others that are being rented out.
Well, Well, Sterling, let's instead of drawing it all out in a long question, right? let's just cut to the nitty gritty.
Go ahead, man.
Let us stop dancing around the real issue in Cayman.
Uh-huh.
We have sat down and watched and allowed the merchant class and retailers enjoy cheap labor. And you know the reason why they've enjoyed it? Because they know that the average Caymanian isn't going to work under those conditions with those wages because they can't afford it. So they have enjoyed the cheap labor industry. And the problem is that we haven't been able to call it cheap labor because we have covered everybody with the same stroke of the brush. So when a Caymanian go in and say, listen, I want to be a cashier or I want to be a night stock on the shelf or whatever the case is, that falls into the category of cheap labor.
Right. But you are right. And if I may interject, if you want to, as you said, be more direct, cut to the chase, let's go to one step further. Those individuals that are working in, let's just use the hospitality sector, all right? And if they are able to go to the bank, qualify, and now have multiple properties, is it that there is a source of income more than what they're declaring, or B, all right? The fact that they're being paid more than has been shared, something would seem not to add up.
They're pooling their resources, Sterling. What part of that you didn't get earlier? They go in, two or three of them going in together and signing these loans, and they lending each other money to pay the deposits. What they're doing, right? Let me tell you the difference between them and us. I'll tell you one of the biggest differences. I'll call a Caymanian right now who was a friend of mine for years and call him for a legitimate reason. Let's say I'm calling him to invite him for lunch. 9 times out of 10, they don't answer the phone,
Right.
They don't answer the phone. So why are we sitting around waiting for our own people to call us back? Those people come here and they pick up the phone and call their people. They answer right away.
Yep.
And they network a lot better than we do.
Right.
So we can't, when I say can't complain, I'm not going to sit here and point no fingers at them being more successful than we are using the very same system that we have access to.
Fair enough.
Right? Because we have failed to network with each other the way that we need to network with each other. Yeah, are there some hindrances for Caymanians because we Caymanians? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, when we look at these companies that are enjoying the cheap labor force, right, the last thing they would want is for us to identify and break this thing up into sectors.
Right. No, fair enough, right? But
I don't want to no, let me just finish this part.
Please.
I don't want to walk into no restaurant in Cayman and see where there is very low or limited participation by Caymanians, and if there are any Caymanians working there, I want to see them in the supervisor role. I want to see them in the roles that making enough money that meaningful that they can afford to live in the Cayman Islands.
Right.
And that's not saying that we're too good to serve food or we're too good to be a bartender. These are the jobs that making the good money,
exactly,
the gratuities and the tips and all these different things.
So not disagree with you, right? But take your point. How is it then that, to your first point just then, they're pooling their resources, very commendable, very sensible, they're combining their efforts, right? But how is it then that they can go to the bank and somehow qualify? As an example, 2 couples make an approach to the bank to purchase a property. The bank looks at it, one couple recognizing they're both on work permit and say, okay, no problem, we can do this. The second couple makes an approach. The difference is they're not on a work permit, but the bank says, but you have to be married for us to give you a loan. They did it in the first instance, but they refused to do it in the second. All the other things being equal. How do we justify that? How do we explain that?
Well, how we explain that, Sterling, is that when you look at that down payment, that deposit, that deposit for most of these people who working in these industries, and don't get me wrong, some of those individuals who are getting loans, there's a lot of them who getting loans that are not married,
Right.
Some exceptions to some people, and whenever they need that 10% or a 15% deposit, they go to their community and they say, hey, look, we want to buy a property and we need a deposit, and they all work together to get that deposit.
Right. Yeah.
Right? That's the difference. Those are some of the differences. That's not the only thing. That's not the only factor. But there are many different variations of how they are able to capitalize on the system.
Yeah.
More so than the Caymanian, because the Caymanian are in, and we've got to remember too, Sterling, where they are way more receptive to the idea of them all buying shared property as opposed to Caymanian. Every Caymanian looking in entitlement of their own, their own properties and ownership and all that, right? And we shouldn't feel any less because this is the island that we're born and we plan to die in. So at the end of the day, what's wrong with me feeling like I should be entitled to a house, or I feel like I should be privileged enough to own a house, or I should work hard enough to own a house on my own, that I don't have to share it with 50 people?
Yeah. In your land, I mean, if you don't have preference, where will you? Let me read to you what one of our listeners says. Hey, it's simple. The people of these islands do not have any representation. What has changed in the past 4 elections? Different circus, same old clowns.
The more things change, the more things change.
Hey, I only read that. I didn't read it. So whoever did,
I agree with that person.
I appreciate them taking the time to send it. So, but you are right, Mario. I always appreciate when you share, because your points bring us to at least recognize the obvious, and also recognize that we've been ignoring what's before us, right? And how do we approach this? What do we do differently if our young people are feeling already marginalized, already feeling that? I mean, that has to be hard, man. Not have a sense of hope.
Well, I think that we're long past the point where we need to sit down and draft up a strategic policy plan, a national policy plan on what Cayman should be, how Cayman should be structured, what we should look like, how we going to get there, and who's going to be the participant.
That's something you and I could start.
So the reality is that we got to stop the chatter and the talk. We got to stop that now.
Yeah.
Because I think if you spoke to 10 Caymanians, 9.5 of them will tell you exactly what the issues are.
Yep.
So if we are aware of the issues, then we need to now stop.
Well, I'll go one step further.
Start talking about solutions and start implementing them.
That's it. They are foreign nationals, both from the perspective that they don't, have no intent to have any sort of status more than what they have now, that they can come freely. But there are those who acknowledge that they were born and raised elsewhere, they now have Cayman status. But because they were not born here and they've had their adult experiences initially in other jurisdictions, they are saying the things that many of us are reluctant or refusing to say publicly relative to the direction that the country is going. And like you just voiced, if we're hearing it, maybe you are right. It's time, to do something. So that policy that you talked about, is that something we could work on?
Yeah, and one other thing that we need to stay focused on, the thing that really bothers me most of all when it comes to Caymanian ownership of a home is that we are doing so many things to make sure that young Caymanians have an opportunity to own a home. Like we waived the stamp duties for 2 properties. These are all great initiatives, right? We you see J. Ebanks doing all of these low-income homes, and now he's doing them in various districts, and getting those off the ground and getting that going, right? And the one thing that we haven't done, the most important thing out of all of that when it comes to mortgages, is that the Cayman Islands do not have a legitimate mortgage program.
Nope.
We have a demand loan that banks are allowed to give you loans under, so that they can tack on the Fed rates that have nothing to do with the money in which they lend you, but they can increase rates at will whenever the Fed rate goes up, and it's creating a disadvantage for everybody who enter into a mortgage per se agreement / demand loan agreement.
Right.
These are half of the reasons why people are losing their homes, because they cannot keep up with the increase of the interest rates on a regular basis. But nobody in government, not one single soul in government, and mind our government is littered with people who have law degrees and accounting degrees and all of these things that they profess to be great at, but all of a sudden when it comes to changing the lending system in the Cayman Islands for mortgages so that we're not affected by the U.S. Fed rate, which is driving people into poverty and homeless shelters, not one of them saying a word about it. How many homes you want build for them to take away? We want to keep billing, and then putting people in, and they can't meet their obligations because interest rates is forcing them out of their homes. This is the most oxymoronic thing. There's another word I wanted to use.
Yeah, I'll use it for you. Asinine. How about that?
No, I'll let you say it.
Well, it's a good word. I mean, look out in the dictionary.
But we know what the fundamental breakdowns are in Cayman. And you know what, Sterling? We know what the solutions are too. But hear what? The solutions does not make the people who are controlling the powers to be happy. So that's the reason why nothing is taking place. We talk about a fuel commission. We formed a committee full of government, full of MPs to review how come we're paying high costs of fuel at the pump. That's easy. We don't need a committee to tell us that. We know what the problem is, but we refuse to do anything about it.
Yeah, man.
Anyway, I think I took up enough of your time. Sorry about that.
No, man. No need to apologize.
It's one of those things that you just got to get off your chest.
Listen, thank you for taking that time. I'll talk to you soon, all right?
Cool.
And this is why Mario Rankin's contribution always causes us to think. So thank you for taking that time. We're going to pause and take a break. When we come back, we'll join our other callers. Stay tuned.
Discover your dream home with Cayman National's home loan. Get up to 95% financing, repayment up to 40 years, and just a 0.5% commitment fee. Your interest rate? Depending on your risk factors, it'll be fixed or variable. Plus, you get a pre-approved credit card. This is a limited time offer. Dial 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips for all occasions and celebrations. Let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
Hey there, K-Man. Have a few minutes to spare? Your Ministry for Housing has just launched the public survey for the Cayman Islands Housing Policy and Strategic Plan. We are all about making our island home even better. We need your help. It's your thoughts and ideas that will shape our housing policies for the future. Your voice matters, and it's easy to get involved. Just visit cihousingplan.org and let your voice be heard. Plus, you could catch some cool gift cards just for sharing your ideas. Don't miss out. Open through April 16th. Head to cihousingplan.org or go to the ministry's Facebook, Instagram, X, or LinkedIn now and be a part of the conversation. Your input matters more than you know. Let's make Cayman's housing future brighter. Together, your voice, your future. Take the survey today.
Every day, thousands of residents use our roads, and every journey requires responsibility. Our actions behind the wheel can have serious consequences. So let's make a commitment to safety. The Cayman Islands government invites you to take the Safe Drivers Pledge. The pledge is our opportunity to show our dedication to creating a safer environment on our roads. First, visit gov.ky/road safety/pledge. Read and check all the boxes, fill in your name, and click submit. It's that easy. Let's make our roads safer together and say no more for 2024. Visit www.gov.ky/road safety for more information and to take the pledge.
Covering Little Cayman, Cayman Bride. Cover me.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines.
Local, regional, international news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solids. The Cayman Islands' first dedicated reinsurance conference is taking place on April 18th and 19th at the Ritz-Carlton Grand Cayman. The inaugural conference will bring together industry leaders, regulators, executives, cedents, and other stakeholders from the reinsurance community for 2 days of knowledge sharing, education, and networking. In international news, early on Tuesday morning, a container ship crashed into the landmark Francis Scott Key Bridge near the U.S. city of Baltimore, causing most of it to collapse. Several vehicles on the bridge at the time plunged into the waters of the River Patapsco, and rescuers are searching for between 7 and 20 people believed to be in the river. Maryland Governor Wes Moore has declared a state of emergency. It'll be no surprise to anyone who has had a pet dog that they have a certain understanding with humans. In fact, a new study has provided the first neural evidence for object-word understanding in dogs. This also suggests they might understand the meaning of some individual words as humans do. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Zollins.
More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
When you have a sports or fitness-related injury, trust the expertise of the HSA's Sports and Exercise Medicine Clinic to get you back in the game. Our internationally trained and certified physicians specialize in sports traumatology, sports medicine, pain management, and orthopedic surgery. For treatment of common injuries such as tendonitis, arthritis, tennis elbow, rotator cuff, or knee tears, schedule a consultation with the Sports and Exercise Medicine Clinic at Smith Road Medical Center by calling 949-8600 or visit hsa.ky for more information.
Born in Watering Place, Cayman Brac, on the 8th day of July 1936. Captain Fred Elman Scott was the 5th child born to Nalio and Vera Scott. Captain Scott enjoyed a fulfilling career at sea spanning more than 50 years. He was ahead of his time, employing his mathematical and computer skills to create payroll software, depth charts of Georgetown Harbor, and his pride and joy was his weather program that could detect when a storm formed anywhere in the world and was able to track and forecast its path. He had 6 children and was married for 52 years to Bernadette Silva, whom he met during his tenure in Brazil. In 1954, when Her late Majesty Queen Elizabeth II visited, Captain Scott had the distinct honor shaking the Queen's hand and piloting the Royal Yacht Britannia and anchored it in the Georgetown Harbor. Captain Scott was a humble man who liked his khaki suit and cap and loved to share his knowledge with those who crossed his path. He was honored at the National Heroes Day, acknowledging the seafaring heritage of these islands.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
WhatsApp call, and then you'd have to welcome. Thanks for calling.
Hello?
Hey, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Dwayne.
Thank you for calling, and I'm hoping your day is going to get better as the minutes pass.
I am getting a bit of an echo. I wonder whether it is from my side.
Okay, so you're not hearing us?
Okay, I can hear you now. I think I had you open. I was so anxious to listen to you open in 2 windows.
Well, thank you for making the connection.
Yeah. Dwayne, it's always good to listen to you engage your callers about some of these issues. And it's always interesting for me to listen to the last caller.
Yes, always. Yes.
Always, you see, because this is like somebody who, these are issues he understands well, he has thought about, he's got some solutions, and yet, having listened to him, there is also a disappointment in that these issues have been spoken about for decades.
Sadly, we're not addressing them.
Sadly. Exactly. You see, for example, he said, look, if you speak to 9.5 Caymanians, they know what the solution is. He's right about that. We know what the solutions are. All these issues about the kids thinking, which he also mentioned that some kids who are, if I can say that affectionately rather than belittling them,
Yes.
Caymanian kids who are saying that, look, we feel like guests in our own country. I mean, that is true because I also, as a non-Caymanian, particularly in my latter years in Cayman, I felt that I was not being hosted by Caymanians, but I was hosted by people who came to me to Cayman the same way I came to Cayman. So it was a funny feeling for me as well.
Yeah. And just to tie into what you said, please continue, but just to share, I have people that I consider friends, right, or at least acquaintances, and they, after they got status, they shared that it was only then that they started to feel and recognize that they were being mistreated or weren't favored in their places of employment. Prior to that, two in particular would always lament that he couldn't understand what we were saying. I mean, of course, you came on in your country, you're just talking nonsense. And when they became, status holders, they saw and experienced the same thing that their Caymanian friends were sharing.
Exactly. And that is a story I have heard over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
I've even seen it in particular cases. And it also does relate to my own personal experience in that when I came to Cayman, I didn't want to get involved in local politics, not national politics, but like, certain things about regional issues or the Jamaicans, the British and the locals and so on. Sometimes there's a love relationship there, but sometimes it's a love, I won't say love-hate, but a sort of love, and then sometimes it's a love and something else. Sometimes you are keen on you are keen on them. Sometimes you are not keen on them.
Right.
And I stay out of that for a while. But as I stayed on, and I could see that I could contribute professionally and otherwise in the community,
Mm-hmm.
I now started to see, even before I had any kind of residential status here, when I was still on a work permit, on a government employee, I found that Caymanians sometimes were being suppressed. One time I even said, "Oh, can I train this Caymanian?" They told me you can't train a Caymanian. So, cut a long story short, when I started to appreciate what Caymanians were going through, even when I had no status of any kind, really, apart from being in Cayman for purposes of work at a certain point, then I found that I also invited the ire of those people. You are empathetic to what Caymanians are going through, so I also now became a victim of that. So it is something that has to be addressed. But you see, the problem is this: I don't think, Dwayne, there is any desire by the current government, and I don't think that there's been a real desire by any governments, at least in my time, last 2 decades, to sort out what the problem is. It is the political will.
Mm-hmm.
Look at, for example, they put together this immigration committee, right? I believe that its terms of reference were specifically to look at the point system and to see how it could be revised. And one of the things that they were supposed to look at is whether they should continue with this requirement that people should buy property in Cayman before, like to get more points. Now, to me, that is a very, and that was cited to say, well, you see, property prices are going up because of that. Now, I kind of doubt that, because I think anybody who comes to Cayman, once they find out as a foreigner they can buy property, I think they will want to buy property anyway, so that when they leave, if they do leave, they will have a property where they have some equity. So I'm not quite sure that if you said, well, but you see, you don't need to buy property in order for you to get those points which are obtained under that category, you need to do that. I just don't think that even if they did that, that it would affect what the fundamental issue is. The fundamental issue is that people can come to Cayman, drop off the aeroplane, and buy property. That's where the problem is.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at Hawaii, the prices have gone through the roof. The local people can't buy property, and now they have to go to the U.S. mainland so that they can buy property. I remember watching a documentary on this, one Hawaiian young lady who's living in Chicago says, "There's no way I can buy a house for $1 million. I don't have that, and the bank won't lend me that." And to me, this is what you need to look at. It is not easy to address that issue, but that's where fundamentally the problem is. You can do all these other little changes, but if people can come to Cayman and just buy property, it will keep going up. In Bermuda, I believe way back, they designated areas where they said foreigners couldn't buy property because they recognized that it was because of principally people coming in to buy property, which drove prices up. Then talking about mortgages, the last caller talked about mortgages. This is something I was involved in when one MP was in the backbench and was trying to move that there should be these demand loans must be abolished so that a man has proper mortgages. I went to the constituency office of that particular MP at that time, who was in the backbench together with some other people, and we tried to see if he could move a motion in Parliament to have a committee look into the matter and report to Parliament within 6 months. I told him, because he was new at the time, I said, don't write a motion which just says government should consider. You should say government should consider and then appoint a committee, and the committee should report within 6 months and come back to Parliament. Otherwise, it will never be done. And we drafted the motion. But in the end, the motion didn't go forward because they told him, oh, no, we can have a look at this. And then they sent it to the Law Reform Commission, and more or less it has died now. So there is no urgency about these matters. This immigration matter, for example, let me talk about the immigration matter in relation to the same. You see, this committee which they have, I noticed personally that there's no urgency around it. 1,000 applications are pending. And my suspicion is that somebody feels there are too many to grant, so they have delayed it a little bit. My suspicion also is that there may be a move to try and change the legislation before those matters are dealt with. But I feel that somebody is resisting that. From what somebody who was on that committee said, who is no longer on that committee, even their meetings now are more or less like optional, like they keep canceling them. So there's no urgency to deal with that.
No will.
A candidate, will. There was a candidate in 2017, I won't call his name, he's actually a friend of mine. He suggested, he said, and this is somebody who is a Caymanian, but very proud of his country, but he's got friends across the spectrum, including people like me. and he is really somebody who appreciates both communities. But he said, look, we can't have a system which is overly draconian, but what we can do is let us have a target. Let us say that we want to give more status, more PR than the natural birth rate in Cayman. And that's what he suggested, a very reasonable proposition.
Right.
But it has never been taken up. He suggested this in 2017. It has never been taken up. And now today they're talking about, well, let us change the point system. Is that will change anything? It will not change anything.
Yeah, man.
In Cayman, the solutions are known.
Yeah.
The government just does not want to do anything about it. Let me close on this, on a little something which I got from Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela was asked one time one of the many questions about fighting for freedom. He said, you know what you have to appreciate is that your oppressor knows why he's oppressing you. And he's oppressing you because it is in his interest to oppress you. Now, what you have to do is make him move from that position so that it is in his interest to give you your freedom. Okay? Now, how you make the move from that point A to that point B is for you to figure out. And to me, although it's not a perfect analogy, that's what Caymanians have to figure out. There is no political will for the government to do what they are supposed to do, and elections won't change anything.
Right.
What should Caymanians do to ensure that the politicians do what the people want, even if it might not be in the interest of the politicians? And that's where I will leave it.
Well, thank you for that too, and I appreciate the call. And as we take this next call, someone writes, we elect them, but they don't represent us. Let's take this call. Hey, thank you for holding on. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Dwayne.
And to you, man. How are you today?
Okay, and you?
Very thankful. Very, very thankful indeed.
Okay, so health, man.
Thank God for His grace, mercy, and provision and protection. The love goes a long way.
Okay. Well, when it comes to our young people,
Mm-hmm.
like I spoke before concerning concessions, I know the government has given away almost $2 billion worth of concessions in the last 25 years. And the people who come here to this country, especially the rich people, they should not feel hard paying for concessions, especially if the government tells them that this money goes towards things such as trade schools and hurricane shelters.
Mm-hmm.
And if the government had collected these concessions over the last 20 to 25 years, we would have a trade school in every district in the Cayman Islands right now. That way, our young people, especially our young men, would be able to even ride their bicycles to the trade school, ride home and get lunch and come back,
Mm-hmm.
and not be idling and hanging up around the wrong people, places, and doing the wrong things. The biggest trade school in Cayman Islands right now is Northwood Prison. And even that is a disgrace. Because about 12 years ago to 15 years ago, a prison inspector came from England and said it's a disgrace that the Cayman Islands has such a prison as Northwood with the finances that the Cayman Islands has. And the people, the contractors that are getting all these big-time jobs, they're a big part of this,
Mm-hmm.
stopping these trade schools, because they have the money that they could have helped government to build these trade schools. But instead of training our young people, they would rather hire somebody on a work permit that they can pay them what they want to pay them, and so that the young Caymanian don't start his own business and his own construction company.
Yeah.
Because of greed. And that's what's happening with the banks. Because of greed, the banks are overcharging people. And our government officials who we put in there to help us concerning with the banks, they can't do nothing because they're tied up with the banks too. The amount of money that they have borrowed, they don't want to have nothing to say because they're afraid of the increase that it might put on top of them.
Mm-hmm.
And always remember this, Dwayne. Always remember this. The borrower will become a slave to the lender. And the banks in the Cayman Islands have become legal thieves. Thank you very much.
And to you, man. Thanks for calling. And as we take this next call, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, Dwayne. Good afternoon.
Hey, and to you. How are you today?
I'm doing okay. I have a bit of a sore throat, but doing good so far.
So no concerts tonight then?
No concerts tonight. I'll leave it till next week.
There you go. Well, I hope that we are sold out the crowd, man. Thanks for listening, Owen. Thank you for taking the time to exercise your voice and sharing your thoughts with us. Huh?
Yes. I had three concerns I wanted to address. The first one is defacing of these. One moment, please.
And
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Defacing of these signs. The signs that we put up, that loved ones and parents put up when someone has passed, on the side of the road or on private properties and so forth. I saw a post on Facebook this morning of one such posting where a young man's sign had been defaced, and I just want to publicly ask anyone who is doing this to please stop it, because it could have been your loved one. You may have a gripe or a vendetta against someone who may have passed, but that is not the way to go about venting your gripe and your vendetta. Someone is hurting, a parent is hurting, a loved one is hurting, grieving for this person who has died, whatever the circumstances are. It could be your loved one, and if you're the person defacing these signs, please stop it. I ask law enforcement to please be aware that there are areas of the law that apply to these situations, and to please try to find these perpetrators, families, residents, if you can try to have security systems, doorbell cameras, whatever, to try to catch these people who are defacing these signs and making, people's grief that much more hard to handle, seeing their loved one's face all painted out or like I said, defaced. So that is something I just wanted to throw out there, because it's something that's been happening for quite a few years, and no one seems to be saying anything about it. And I'm very outraged to see, especially these young people who die prematurely by misadventure and so forth, where it makes losing them that much more harder for parents, and to see these signs destroyed and tampered with to make their grief that much harder. So please, if anyone is listening, or spread the word, and if whoever is doing the defacing, just think about, if it was your loved one, how you would feel. Express your vendetta, or your hatred, or whatever you have, in a different way, and just be mindful of that. The other thing I wanted to address was urinating in public. I've talked about this in the talk show before, and I don't know if the gentleman that I saw urinating directly across from Bordentown Primary School is employed with the construction that is going on at the primary school, but he appeared to be dressed as a worker that was employed, that was working in that area. But as I said, again, a public call and recognition: stop peeing in public, stop urinating in public, especially on the main public roads. You men, I won't get into nationalities. I can tell you it wasn't a Caymanian, but it was directly in front of a major public primary school in Bordentown Primary.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been that the person was employed working on, they're building a new building there at the primary school. It could have been that the person was working there. I know they have bathroom, those porta potties there on the compound, but this was not in use. So that's another thing I wanted to bring to the public's attention. Once again, contractors, construction companies, whatever, just make sure your employees are not committing offenses and urinating in the public, especially where young children are at. The other thing now is the music. I had concerns for the music. Some of the songs that were being played at the most recent sporting events around the island here in Grand Cayman, and I just wanted to say that we should be mindful of some of the songs that have been played at these events, because they are events for families and are very young children being impressionable. We can't control what they hear at home or in other areas or other events, but we can control what is being played at these events. And it was, I heard a number of parents and spectators commenting on the same issue, but I don't know if anyone, said anything to the organizers or the Department of Sports or anything like that. So if anyone is listening, Department of Education and, the Ministry of Sports and so forth, let's just be mindful, because I attended quite a few events at least 3 days at Truman Borden for a number of hours, and two other districts. I won't call their names.
Right.
But yes, the music should be, like I said, should be more thought of when we're playing the music at these events for young children and families.
So just so that I don't misunderstand, is it the lyrics were expletive laden or the like? Is that what it is?
Yeah, some of the lyrics are very, very provocative.
Okay.
And some I wouldn't venture to say in instigating violence, but some have been questionable, where you want to wonder, are these really songs that we should be playing around our young people?
Yeah. No, I like you.
You know?
I like you. I enjoy music, and I can think that almost every genre has songs of that nature. So was this predominantly one type of genre? Was it heavy metal? Was it country? Was it dance hall? What?
I don't. They certainly didn't play any country that I can recall. But
So what kind of? How would you describe the genre?
It was mostly some pop.
Uh-huh.
Mostly the calypso,
Mhm.
or what we call, our Caribbean music.
Well, calypso or reggae, I mean, because which one?
Calypso, reggae, soca, whatever
So that's what it was then?
Yes, those types of genres there, yes. And some pop I heard in an outer district. And, the I won't get into any specific events because I don't want to...
No, I'm not talking about it. Just some of the types of music,
But yeah, some genres for some for some events were a little provocative also. Some were fun, but most of them were provocative. Like I said, I wasn't the only parent that was talking about it. But I don't know if anyone else has addressed it. And I thought that I would.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's all I have to offer today.
Well, I'd certainly reference the first two, definitely the public urination. But thank you very much, all right?
Okay, thanks again.
All right, enjoy your afternoon.
Bye-bye.
Let's take one more before we go to the break. Welcome, thanks for calling.
Hi, good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks, and your all self?
Oh, thankfully, healthy, happy, and hopeful.
That's wonderful to hear. In addition to what the lady just said about defacing pictures for deceased persons that all has been placed at different locations throughout the island, I want to also ask for people to be I don't even know the word to use.
More considerate, respectful, right? Mindful.
Mindful of others. We are all human beings. And where I'm going with this, when a person passed for whatever reason, and more so due to a road fatality, it is inhumane for people to take videos and photos of deceased persons' bodies on the road and upload to social media, because it was done to my son-in-law that was in that accident in Bordentown last week. So somebody took pictures and posted it to social media. Who is so heartless? People, please stop and put your all selves in family members and loved ones' shoes. How would you feel if that was done to you or one of your loved ones? We need to live better with people. Respect human each other. That was so hard to see my son-in-law body on the road from this accident where someone passed and took a picture and uploaded it to Facebook.
Yeah, we seem to have a change in practice now in our society relative to how we approach many things that, not long ago, even with social media being part of society then, we seem to have changed the way we look at things. Huh?
I don't know, Mr. Dwayne, but it is so sad to see that people are so heartless. Not because it may not be your family member, your loved one, or someone you know, but you don't add families and loved ones are going through enough grief already, just losing their loved one, much less for these kind of things to be posted on social media. Anyway, Mr. Ebanks, thank you, and have a good rest of the day.
And to you too, our deepest condolences, and thanks, for sharing. Take care, Mom. And to that caller's point, I mean, let's look at the last lady referenced the public urination. Is this something that is happening because of the changed ethos in our society? Is it the way that the world is upside down? I mean, what is it, and what do we do about it? Well, first acknowledging it, maybe the solution in addressing it. And to the last caller's point, she is right. The lack of respect and sensitivity perhaps is one thing to share information and see things as they are. Maybe it's another thing to consider, how we do that. To her and others who are obviously, we need to be very mindful of that grieving period and show our respects. Let's pause. Join us after the break.
In life, the more you have to lose.
The more you love, the more you worry.
The more people rely on you, the more you have on your mind.
I have peace of mind,
knowing that whoever I care about
is protected by the very best.
With Sagicor Life of the Cayman Islands, you'll have critical illness coverage and life insurance to help you protect what matters most. Call 949-8211 for more information.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
It's Digicel's 20th birthday bash, and you're invited. We are giving away 20 phones for 20 years. Win an iPhone or a Samsung smartphone as part of our anniversary celebration. Simply spend $20 or more at Digicel, or be an active postpaid customer, and you could be our lucky winner. It's our way of saying thank you for 20 incredible years of connection and support from our amazing customers like you. Don't miss out on this epic celebration. Go to your nearest Digicel store today and join the party. Digicel, better connected.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Find your dream car with a Cayman National Vehicle Loan. Enjoy 100% financing, up to 8-year repayment, and a 7% fixed interest rate for the first 5 years. For eco-friendly cars, we'll waive your commitment fee. This only applies to new vehicles. Call 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
Has the circus come to town? No, it's A.L. Thompson's 2-week blowout sale from March 15 through March 30. Get under the huge tent outside A.L. Thompson's to save big. Save up to 75% on lighting, electrical, plumbing, paint, and hardware. Save up to 75% on housewares, building materials, and the ever-popular scratch and dent appliances. Take advantage of this savings while they last. It's March blowout under the tent at A.L. Thompson's, Georgetown.
Funky Tanks, the home of electronics and more. Stop by both locations on Shedden Road and in Countryside and enjoy 10% off all JBL Bluetooth speakers. Comfort Star mini splits are now $3.99. LG DVD players reduced from $69.95 to $59.95. Lenovo 8-inch tablets from $189.95 to $134.95. Gemini professional headphones from $69.95 to $39.95. Tozo S3 smartwatches priced at $79.95, now reduced to $49.95. Funky Tanks has your electronics, car audios, speakers, laptops, musical instruments, stoves, fridges, small appliances, and a whole lot more. Funky Tanks is open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Thursday, and 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. For more info, call 949-0998.
Start your day in the know. Don't miss a beat.
Radio Cayman's 7 a.m. news keeps you informed every Monday through Saturday at 7 a.m. Brought to you by Cayman National, proudly serving the Cayman Islands since 1974.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thank you for joining us. And as I'm reminded, live radio means the show must go on. So if and when, we can facilitate our guests and add the scheduled discussion, we'll do so. But in the interim, it'll be some open line as we invite you to call and share your thoughts with us at 949-8037 or 949-6990. Of course, you can send us a WhatsApp, 925-3261, and you can WhatsApp call at 925-3261. Either way, if it's a call and you want to get on air and you use no WhatsApp, well, 925-3261. Here's a message from one of our listeners. Says, I like to agree with the call in reference to the music at school grounds. I've heard others speak of it also, especially regarding some of the young ladies who are cheerleaders at sports events. I've heard some of the young ladies complaining about it as well. Some of the dancing are very unsuitable for school children equally. All right. Thank you for sharing that thought. Again, another lady sent, her reference relation to public decency or indecency and the way we dress in public, and questions, well, are there any sort of public decency laws, morals, standards? Let's take this call. Welcome. Thank you for sharing.
Hello.
How are you today?
All right, man.
Been a while, man. All is well?
Yeah, that young lady that spoke a while about a person that died. I kind of support that, because they should.
Sorry, am I losing the caller? Okay. Oh, I'm not sure. Just confirming, caller's not there, right? Okay. If you can reconnect with us, we're not quite sure what transpired. Certainly it was not anything deliberate or even apparent on our end. But he was sharing something, and we would like to hear what more was to be said. 949-8037, 949-6990, or WhatsApp message, WhatsApp voice note, WhatsApp call, 925-3261. Now, we're looking at a couple of comments sent to us, and then a few things maybe we can share in relation to what was said. The idea of public decency. We know people have increasingly complained, not sure whether they should be to planning, as some have said, not sure whether it's the Department of Environmental Health or other departments, including planning, and some, their first recourse is to the police, not to inundate them with matters, but because they think that is where they go to. For instance, people who say, well, there seems to be certain activities transpiring in their neighborhoods, loud, incessant music constantly just blaring in a day of the week, every hour of the day. Doesn't matter. Others would say, well, there seems to be some sort of commercial activity, or whether it's construction related that is constant, or whether it is people repairing cars, painting and the like in open areas in the yard, or whether it's seamless some sort of festival, party, music and food being sold, including intoxicating liquor without some sort of license in residential areas. And they call the police and say, well, is this something that could be done about this? Nothing happens. Let's take this call. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Mr. Sterling.
Hey, welcome back.
Good afternoon again.
Of course, man. It is a wonderful, wonderful day.
I haven't. I didn't get to the point.
Okay, well, please let us help you get there, man.
Well, the thing about it is believing in people. It's very important,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I like to make reference to some of the icons, as I was saying, like the four famous females, like Rihanna, for example. I mean, just look at what developed believing in her.
Mm-hmm.
look at what developed believing and Grace Byers, Grace Galen, and believing in a lot more people. Just belief that it can be done. You hear a lot of young people say they want to be this and they want to be that. They want this for the future. Sometimes we just, I got to say it over and over. We just got to believe in them. And here in Cayman, it's a big difference between the way that local singers are treated and the international stars. When it concerns a lot of things, you certain people.
But as you were sharing that, a couple of things come to mind, and I always think that through the arts, we record what is transpiring in a society, and then as time passes, we can look back. And there's a kind of Rogers song. I know the context is different, but it's, it talks about, she believes in me. Doesn't know necessarily what she sees in me, but she believes in me. So to your point, is it that our society doesn't believe in its own? We don't have trust, faith, love, and respect in our own. We don't value them. So like Rihanna and others that come from smaller jurisdictions who may need the encouragement of their village. We talk about a village, takes to raise a child, yet we pay lip service to it and begrudge each other, and we accept the crabs in a barrel mentality. So that individual from a society of 100 million or tens of millions may not have the need, because she can find her way easier and not have to worry about anything other than her talent and her perseverance. But in a small society where there's an element of begrudge, an element of jealousy. Now, whether that's the right way to see it, but somehow that precludes her from getting to the top. Is that the problem? We don't love one another. We don't have faith in one another. We don't believe in one another.
Could be, but I'll tell you one thing. I was at a store a couple years ago, and a song was playing, and I put my lyrics to the rhythm.
And there you go.
And there was a gentleman there, and he said, "Man, I like what you're doing. I'm gonna hook you up with one of the biggest concerts that and just like that. He heard me singing, and he wanted to put me on stage right away.
Yeah, man. Sometimes we, as an individual, may not get to where we want to go. We may not achieve that thing we set out, but if we persevere, we may be able to, pave a path that someone else might come along after. And it's not just that the reward is for us individually, but the efforts could be something that inspires and shows that others have some level of access and hopefully success. So with you now, what do you do?
Yeah. Well, and the thing about it is too. Sorry about that.
No man. You go ahead, man.
The thing about it is too the investment and the community. I didn't get the question you were saying.
No, that's fine. No, I was going to ask you. Sorry about that. I was asking you if at the end of the day, right, we don't make it individually, but we persevere, we press on, we try to get where it is that we want to go or think we should. If we don't make it, but if we pave the way, we show that. It's kind of like the path, right, or a road. Our governments build roads, and for whatever reason, they may only be able to build the road initially from point A to point B. They know they want to get to point X, but incremental, consistent, deliberate, conscious. The road is being paved. So, is that what we need to do? Kind of like the concept of the cathedral builders, right?
Yeah, we need to do that.
Yeah, man.
We got to show some examples of you got the generations coming up, and they're gonna keep saying things. I want to be this, I want to be that. The little child saying, I want to be this and I want to be that.
Yeah,
Are we gonna believe in the child?
And believe the child.
It's so important to the economy.
Yeah, man. That is true. Hey, thanks very much, right?
Yeah.
Okay, man. Talk to you soon. Thank you, sir. As we go into the break, maybe that child needs to be able to look and see an image is recognizable, see herself reflected in our society. Maybe that's part of the problem. But think about the lyrics of the Earl Thomas Conlon's song, "I Can't Win for Losing You." Is that our problem? Even though it's written in a context, is it that in our society we're not winning because we're losing each other, and as a society we don't have the collective win because we're so much trying to keep each other down. Let's pause. Join us after the break.
It's Digicel's 20th birthday bash, and you're invited. We are giving away 20 phones for 20 years. Win an iPhone or a Samsung smartphone as part of our anniversary celebration. Simply spend $20 or more at Digicel, or be an active postpaid customer, and you could be our lucky winner. It's our way of saying thank you for 20 incredible years of connection and support from our amazing customers like you. Don't miss out on this epic celebration. Go to your nearest Digicel store today and join the party. Digicel, better connected.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old girl.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
You don't sound too good there, Bobo.
Yeah, you know how it is. With the kids back in school, every other week they coming out with something, and then I catch it.
Sound like it catch you. But for real, brother, flu season is here and COVID is still around. You gotta stock up on things like medicine, vitamins, and minerals for you and the kids. You know what they say, prevention is better than cure.
At ValueMed, our pharmacists can help manage flu symptoms and provide guidance on vitamins and minerals to best support you and your family's overall health. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Town, or WhatsApp your questions and prescription refills to ValueMed on Walkers Road at 926-1662, or WhatsApp ValueMed in Town at 916-5511. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
The Ministry of Education invites eligible Caymanians to apply for a local scholarship for the 2024-2025 academic year. To apply for a local scholarship or learn more about the various scholarship offerings, please visit the Scholarship Secretariat Unit's website at www.moescholarships.gov.ky. Applications close on Tuesday, 30th of April, 2024. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Education.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining us. It is Open Line as we take this next call. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon, Sterling.
And to you, how have you been?
Oh, busy. Well, sort of busy.
Well, that's good, man.
Taking care of the cats that they didn't capture and kill, the killers. But anyways, they're safe. You know, this is Carrie from the Brack, so everybody know who it is.
Okay, thank you.
I'm afraid to call who I am and say who I am. Nobody fear. I'm fearful of no one except God. Anyways, and I also want to thank you, Sterling, for constantly, airing the topics that we need to be heard and out here in the community. And I appreciate you not cutting people off.
Well, we try not to. I mean, it's not. I mean, that we subscribe to. We want everybody to have a voice. Thank you for, encouraging us, and hopefully we'll continue to do as best as we can.
Good. Thank you. And anyways, as I sit and listen to the talk shows, which I've been doing a lot of lately, not contributing, I've just been listening. And you know what is the hurtful part about all of this? And I hope all of them in the government listening this afternoon, since they tune in, turn the radio up. You're going to hear it today. Anyways, I've sat and listened for years, as you know, and I've contributed for years to talk shows. From when it was Woody, when it was Jay Earhart, when it was the Lichtenstein guy, all of them, Barry, you name it, everybody when they were on the talk shows, and I always contributed. And the same cries I hear every week calling me into the talk shows. Some of the cries have been silenced because they've passed away, but there's still a lot of cries. People are crying and reaching out to our government using these airways, and they're not listening to them. They don't care, and I'll tell you, this is a year before election, and I want the people to know every month I can get on here, or every week I can get on here and remind them why they should not vote them back in power. The first one that should be known that why you shouldn't vote them back in power is you have done nothing about protecting our mortgages and our homes in this country. Absolutely nothing. And our equity especially. No bank should be able to foreclose on you if you got more equity in that home than you owe the bank. Mm-hmm. First thing. I mean, I applaud Mr. Samamba for coming on earlier and raising it, because from my opinion of him, my honest and personal opinion of him, he's the only expat that really fights for Caymanians, and he don't even live here anymore. He used to live here because he was hired by our government to be our legal draftsman and draft many of our laws and now called acts. And for that, I'm grateful to him for having a voice far away for us down here, because our people are not being heard. We are not being heard. The minute our accent comes over the airwaves, our government turns the radio off. Our leaders turn it down on their car stereo. I got a video of someone sent me that driving in a car with one of our ministers, current ministers, listening to the talk show, and the minute some came on, one of ours come on and started talking about being neglected, being ignored, not supporting us, not helping us, not doing enough for us, but doing it for everybody else. They turned the radio off. Now, closer to election, I will publish that video, and you will see which minister that was. Okay? And it wasn't that they had to turn it off to answer a phone. They were driving. You don't answer phones when you're driving unless it's Bluetooth. It wasn't that. It was they did not want to hear. And their comment was, I'm sick of hearing people complain. Well, if you are that sick of hearing people complain, Minister so-and-so, I'm going to save you the embarrassment by not calling your name now, then you need to step down and not go back on nomination day and relist your name there saying you're going to run for election again to get re-elected. No, we're not going to put you back. I can guarantee you that. I can publish that. I can create a website just for you so people can, in your constituents, can go and see how they feel about you. Because the worst part about all that, Dwayne, the person that was on the radio complaining, that they call was complaining, was actually one of their constituents. So this is how we're gonna play dirty next election, since they won't play dirty for 3.5 years. We're gonna give it to them next election. I'm sorry, Dwayne, but our leaders are not dealing with the imperative things in this country, which is ensuring that Caymanians do not lose their homes. And if they were really the strong, robust leaders that we thought they were and know that they've failed us for decades, they would jump in and say, okay, well, you know, it was a good thing that McKeeva opened up this bank, Cayman Islands Development Bank. Let's utilize that to help people who are having mortgage issues with the other retail banks. Let's let them transfer over to us. We take their mortgages on. We reduce their interest rates considerably so they can actually afford to pay their mortgage, or sit with them and say, okay, can you afford this? Looking at what you earn, can you afford to pay this amount? And that is what, so that people can still live, eat, and thrive in this country. Our people are not thriving anymore, Sterling, and I'm sure you see it. They're not even thriving. They're dying. They are dying. That is what has happened to our people. Their mental wellness is dying. Their physical wellness is dying because they're not able to afford the nutrition because everything has gone through the roof. They can't afford to buy proper food to feed themselves, healthy food. They're stressed out over the bank writing them letters that their house is going to be in foreclosure because they can't afford to pay the new interest rate hikes that has caused their mortgages to skyrocket. Nothing has been done. We have the laziest government elected right now. I'm sorry to say that to all of you. Not all of you I feel that way about. I understand the situation that the 2 or 3 good ones that do get elected are overpowered by the rest of the corrupt ones up in there who keep trampling them and taking away their right to say what they want to do for the country. You know, that's unfair, and it's unfortunate. And I've said this 100 times, and I will say it until it comes to fruition. We need a people's vote for everything that the government comes to Parliament with. The final vote on anything, we don't care what it is the people go and vote yay or nay for that. And that is what makes it pass. Not who we've elected to go to the House to vote within themselves, because we know that's all a cartel thing going on up in there. We know that. So the people should also have a voice about everything that government passes in Parliament. That is when you have proper and adequate and appropriate and less corrupt what's the word I'm losing? Management of your country, using your elected officials. That's what we need in this country. This country is slowly going down the drain, slowly, and they're not seeing it. And the people that are going down the drain are our people.
So how do we do something? What do we do about that? How do we do it? What do we do and how do we do it?
Ideas already. I just said a few. What more you want to do? They need to step up to the plate and initiate programs and get things done for this country and take it out of the dire state that it's in. They can't see that. I mean, I understand mentally that people, when they're making a lot of money every month and can pay their bills and flaunt and this and that and the other, like our elected leaders, they don't care. If you can't pay your bills, we are helping you to pay your bills, and we are out here. The poor people of this country are the ones can't pay yours, but we are helping you to pay yours, and you can't do nothing for us? What does that say about you as a leader? Trust me, I don't understand the way they look at things in this country as if you're supposed to be able to do it. No, you're not supposed to be able to do it if you can't afford to do it. People should not be forced to do things they can't afford to do. We need to reduce the cost in this country a whole lot. It's absolutely gone over. It's too mountainous. People can't climb over it. And the people that are not able to climb over it is our own native Caymanians, the poorest people, the most oppressed, the most depressed in their country by their government, elected government, and some in the administrative government as well. This is the problem. I mean, when you think about how many Caymanians have lost their homes to mortgages, how does that make a government feel? They didn't do a thing to step in and say, no, you can't take their house. We're gonna pull what Miss Juliana did for Raymond Scott up here. We're gonna take it and get it sorted for you, so nobody can't buy your house again out of where was it being bought out of? Either credit union or one of them other places. Can't remember. No, there was a buyer ready to buy that house, but she stepped in. So why is it that she can do that for that one individual, but they can't do it for the rest of us out here that are suffering every day, Sterling. People are messaging me or calling me about their homes and the problem they got sick, this, that. And it's been ongoing for decades, and we're not touching any of it.
Right.
And why is that? Because our government has absolutely no empathy.
Can I ask you, we do have the news break. Do you want to hang on, or you want to just...
I want to hang on. We
all
need to talk longer.
Yeah, man. Thank you for doing that. And to our listeners, join us after the news.
Yesterday,
today,
always and forever.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
With your latest headlines, I'm April Cummings. The Central Caribbean Marine Institute, CCMI, will launch its 2024 Reef Lecture Series with last year's extreme ocean temperatures and what it means for coral reefs by visiting scientist Dr. John Bruno on April 2nd. The free event is open to the public, but seating is limited. Be sure to register on donate.reefresearch.org. In international news, properties connected to rapper Sean Diddy Combs were raided Monday by federal agents. The Department of Homeland Security says it had pursued the law enforcement actions as part of an ongoing investigation in New York, L.A., and Miami. 2 properties were searched in L.A. and Miami as part of the probe. Officials did not specify the reasons for the raids or whether they were tied directly to Mr. Combs. Representatives for the hip-hop mogul did not respond to BBC's request for comment Monday. The European Union has announced investigations into some of the biggest tech firms in the world over uncompetitive practices. Meta, Apple, and Alphabet, which owns Google, are being looked into for potential breaches of the Digital Markets Act, the DMA, which was introduced in 2022. If they're found to have broken the rules, the firms can face huge fines of up to 10% of their annual turnover. EU antitrust bosses announced the investigations this week. Those are your headlines. I'm April Cummings.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. It's Open Line on Talk Today. Call 1-800-534-8255, 949-8037, 949-6990, or 925-3261. Call now.
Hey, welcome back, and thank you for joining us, and to Miss Carrier for holding on during the news. And we do have another caller after this one, but Miss Carrier is still there.
I'm still here.
Okay, well, we're gonna chat with you for a bit, and then if that other caller hangs on, we'll take that call as well.
Well, I thank you for all this extra time.
Okay.
I much appreciate it.
Now, just to complement what you're sharing, quickly, one listener writes, we, the people, are seeking leaders who are moral and who take responsibility, accountability, and the fiscal responsibility is a must. We need a proactive rather than a reactive approach. So, complimenting, I guess, what you were sharing.
What I say about that is they do a great job of taking photos and posting them up on the internet on their relevant ministerial pages and agency pages without telling us majority of the time what those photos represent. They sure do a good job of that. I'll give them credit. Taking gorgeous pictures. Professionals, actually, I suppose, are hired to do that, posting them up but not saying what they represent. So I guess the people are also mind readers, too. That's unfortunate. You don't get up there and display yourself like the narcissist that some of you are and then expect us to figure out what it is you're representing in these photos. Mm-hmm. What kind of foolishness is that? You need to spend that much time and energy into those photos as you're putting into those photos into the population of the country, the people who can vote for you. You are allowing them to suffer and suffer and suffer, and they're being so kind to you and voting you back. But I'm going to pound the pavement this next election to ensure that we don't vote them back for that same reason. Mm-hmm. And it's unfortunate because they've done nothing for all these years and sat there and collected.
All right. So let me ask then, right? You've always been, sharing your thoughts willingly and freely. Are you saying that you would either be a candidate, or are you going to be campaigning for someone or others?
Well, let's put it to you this way. I'm going to campaign against the corruption, the kickback. I'm going to campaign against those sitting doing nothing for us and show that they have done nothing for us as well. That's what I'm campaigning.
All right.
And I'm going to make sure that people are educated and reminded and not forgotten all the things that they have put them through.
Right.
And they need to fix the mortgage stuff, Sterling. They need to fix that, pass the law. In England, they have laws to protect people from mortgage foreclosures. Why is it that we sit up here and do absolutely nothing? Why? Please tell me you're not getting kickbacks from the bank, because that would be the saddest day on earth to hear that. That's the only reason I could figure that they're not trying to deal with it or do anything about it. The banks do not honor their code of conduct that's published up on the Bankers Association website. They don't honor that. You could see the foolishness they write people and tell them. How can you say you're trying to help the people when you write these nastiness letters threatening them with 24 hours to be out of their houses and stuff? And I get the emails and I get the letters and they come bring them for me, print them off from and stuff. It is sad. It is so sad, Sterling, that we have no leadership in this country that actually had the balls to step up to the plate to bring a motion other than Alva Sakoon. If he going to run again, I hope he do. Because at least he came with that motion years ago, and they did everything when he was in the PPM. You know, they don't represent either, and squashed it. And nobody has even tried to pick it back up and go forward with it to help their country.
Right.
Why are you all not trying to do something? I don't understand it. People in this country need to understand that when they go to vote, they need to vote for people that understand that they are suffering and going to make it better. Thank you.
You're most welcome, Ms. Garrett. Thank you for that. Let's take the next call. Welcome. Thanks for sharing.
Yep. Good evening. How you doing?
Not bad. How are you today?
Yeah, man. It's been a long time, Starla. I've been doing more listening out there, you know. It's good to hear. It's good to listen to people that know the story and
that's
how
we
learn. Their version of it, you know.
Yeah,
rather than one person saying the version of the story. If more people talk, then more people would understand, and maybe we stand a chance, you know.
Yeah, man.
But I always used to say this, you know, and I gonna continue to say this, you know. And I don't care who agree with me or who disagree with me. There's only two problems big on this island: corruption, incompetent government, and work permits. That's three things. But I put two of them. I put the corruption and the incompetent government together. One bungle, because sometimes I think it's corruption that make them look incompetent, and then sometimes I don't know if it's just incompetent that it is. You know.
Yeah.
So I leave that there, and the work permit issues. Is if we get rid of those work permits, I could take anybody a bet, and I'm not a betting man, that the island gonna be better for the people and for the economy. It's not gonna happen overnight now, you know. It's gonna take probably 5 years. It's gonna take probably 10 years before we get back, because all this money now that from these work permit people that going out the country, right? Or say three quarter the money what they earn going out the country, right? If not, if even half, just take that, figuratively speaking, three quarter all that money. So that going out the country. But when a Caymanian make money, all the money would have stayed here, right? So that would have boosted the economy, right? The Caymanians would have been booming. They would have had more children because they could afford more children. We got it working and everything booming like it did, like the population did back in the 70s and the 80s. You know, when we didn't have too much of a big work permit problem. So that's the main problem. These people on permits are being weaponized. It's a weapon. It's a weapon used by big business to keep down the Caymanian people. And the politicians are being controlled by these same big business. We don't own a country no more. It's big business that own the country. I mean, we just got called. We just got call it and say it what it is. We're not gonna more politicians up there. All we got people that pretending to represent us, but they don't really represent us. They just got title head. Well, this is a politician for this district or the island of Cayman.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't really so. They're being controlled, and nobody can tell me that there isn't being controlled, because it works that way under a capitalist system. So it came on as a capitalist system, so it's working the same way. You know, sometimes I wonder. Tell me something. What does the FCO role has to play if there's any corruption going on in this island? Like what a nice lady said just now. These voices, you've been hearing these voices for years and years and years. You've been hearing people giving good suggestions. If they would do some of these suggestions, not my suggestions, other people's suggestions that I learned from, if they would listen to them over the years, if the politicians and the governments were listening to these people, then we would have been better off, because the ideas of don't tell me that Kimani is not gonna know ideas how to get out of this situation. I hear you asking the question, you asked it to her and she gave you some, but there's a lot of ideas to get out of it. It's just willpower that the politicians ain't doing it, and they cannot do it because they're gonna go against their bosses.
Mm-hmm.
So we gotta find out who their bosses are, if their bosses are really big business, or it's coming from a bigger upper. So that's what I'm thinking, is the British responsible for some of these things that are going on this island, just to say, well, let it happen, and if they want to destroy themselves, once we get money out of it, it's all right for our banks here back in England. It's okay for the Canadian economy with all the banking system. So they're just not worried about it. So it's us, bunch of lunatics, bunch of fools that is being looked at as Caymanians, that is allowing this thing to happen every decade after decade after decade. Years ago, what stopped the Caymanians from home ownership too? Years ago, the bank would give you a mortgage, say for $10,000. You go utilize that $10,000, pay the loan off. I'll come back and give you another $10,000. That doesn't happen anymore. If you're not got a complete money or the ways to qualify to get a complete loan, you're not getting no more loan. You got to find a way to find $250,000 to buy a house or more, just to say you got all that money at one time. Caymanians hardly build their own houses anymore. Back in the 70s, the 80s, you would run up the walls with a money you get from the bank. Okay, you pay that off. You go borrow money, put on the roof, and what happened? The Caymanians would move in. You would move in your house once you got a roof on. You would move in, put a piece of board up to block the window. You'd move in and you live there. You don't need worry about the bank no more. You see, because you got a structure. When you got money, all right, you put money on it. We can plaster. When you got money, you'll tile it and you'll start to go like that. Bit by bit. So you wasn't that much dependent on the bank. All of that stopped now. Even with the planning stopped all that. Don't tell me that you're downgrading the country. People got to live. I'm not saying that some of this should happen in town or in places, but places out of town where the people are allowed to move in the house once they get it halfway built. Because if you paying $1,500 on rent, that's not better to put a Caymanian in his home if the house is half built the top on, and if he want to go there and slap off mosquitoes without windows in the house, he could go there and live. That $1,500 what he would have had to find for rent, he could all right, this month I go L. Thompson, I buy my windows, say I got $1,500 next month, I can find the tiles to put in and keep on putting bit by bit, put a little bit like that each time, so it's giving power to the Caymanian people and less power to the bank. So all of that now is what working against us. And the planning, who controls planning? Politicians listen to big business and listen to the other banks and stuff and say no, and put that as a stumbling block for the Caymanians. Don't make them be able to do that, because now plan of one gonna be able to get self-sufficient. You see, plan of one gonna be able to don't use the bank now as much. All that kind of thing is what working against the Caymanian people. All of those things. So it's just that incompetence and corruption is what keeping us down. And the quicker that we find that out and start talking about that, then the better off we're gonna be. You know, if it mightn't, sometime I really don't think if it not gonna happen, we gonna be in this position forever, to tell you the truth. And I'm an optimist, you know. I'm an optimist. And I thinking that we're gonna be in this position forever because that's the way that the system is rigged. You know, so we call that, and the sooner the people get that in their head, then the better off they would be to find a way out of it. You know, because the system is rigged. If the bigger the island get, the more developing we do, then our dependence on work permits and all that gonna increase, right? And the Cayman employment and Caymanians gonna be lagging behind. They'll never catch up. They'll never catch up to the inflated workforce. You know, so it will never happen. We need politicians in there that really care. That's the bottom line, and them that can't get sell out. You could kill me, I'm not selling out for my people. That's the kind of mentality and the politicians that we need. And if we don't get them, we'll forever be talking about this situation in the next 100 years. And I'm telling you that. So the people gotta realize that. Put a moratorium on work permits, all kind of work permits, all kind. If you can't find a Caymanian in your company, well, close the company down. If you're not gonna choose who you're gonna hire, you're gonna hire a Caymanian.
Yeah, man.
If you're not gonna choose to choose somebody on the work permit or something, you gotta hire a Caymanian. So you know that's the part we gotta start from. The drastic measures that we got to take to get up out of this. We can't do it slowly and say, all right, we're gonna help them bit by bit, and the Caymanian get up. No, we need drastic steps.
Yeah, man.
And they need to be implemented now. Okay. Thank you, Sterling.
You're most welcome. And as we take the break, one of our listeners says, fully agree with you. The question I'm going to ask, though, as we go take the break, if we had a politician who did that, and if the country decided to take that route, what would happen? Would they be supported? Will there be intervening measures? Join us after the break.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
It's Digicel's 20th birthday bash, and you're invited. We are giving away 20 phones for 20 years. Win an iPhone or a Samsung smartphone as part of our anniversary celebration. Simply spend $20 or more at Digicel or be an active postpaid customer, and you could be our lucky winner. It's our way of saying thank you for 20 incredible years of connection and support from our amazing customers like you. Don't miss out on this epic celebration. Go to your nearest Digicel store today and join the party. Digicel, better connected.
Discover your dream home with Cayman National's home loan. Get up to 95% financing, repayment up to 40 years, and just a 0.5% commitment fee. Your interest rate? Depending on your risk factors, it'll be fixed or variable. Plus, you get a pre-approved credit card. This is a limited time offer. Dial 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
The best foundation you can wear is glowing, healthy skin. The offices of dermatologist Dr. Dwayne Porter specialize in enhancing your skin's well-being. Whether you're seeking advanced skincare, including any skin cancers, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email drportercayman@gmail.com or call 946-9020. That is 946-9020.
Hey Cayman, this is Iliane Powery, your Miss Universe Cayman Islands 2023. Do you want the opportunity to help shape the future of youth and sports in the Cayman Islands? All you have to do is complete the National Youth and Sports Survey found at gov.ky/YSP. This is your chance to make a lasting impact on our community. Have your say today, Cayman, at gov.ky/YSP.
This announcement is brought to you by the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Heritage.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Thank you for calling. Good afternoon. Yeah, hello?
Hello?
Hi.
It's me again.
Okay.
Me.
You can hear us? We can hear you.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Yes, you hear me all right? I had to put you on speaker because I'm driving. I have just listened to the gentleman, and I agree with a lot of what he said, but I cannot agree with us abolishing the work permit system because that does. I implore people to go and read the report from the Parliament on our Public Accounts Committee, because that way you'll understand where a lot of our money comes from, our revenues, and how some of that is filtered through the community and filtered out. And one of them is indeed work permits. It's over $100 million a year, I think, we get from work permit fees. Big amount of money. And we cannot do without that. What we need to also appreciate and understand is that many jobs Caymanians don't want to do. So, they're as well as not having any kind of certification in some of these jobs as well, as far as even the smaller jobs. Caymanians do not want to do caregiving. They don't want to do housekeeping. They don't want to be a nanny. And yes, those things I can understand why we don't want to.
Let me, once you finish, let me pick you up on that. I mean, are you sure that that's not something that's just being said, that Caymanians don't want to do those jobs? I mean, is that something that you're absolutely accurate?
Darling, that's what I do. I bring caregivers in, nannies, domestic housekeepers. I advertise. The one Caymanian that apply out of advertising for 2 years, I get on the phone, call them, beg them to come for an interview and train. And when you come train with me, I pay you for training. So it's not like you're coming to learn to do the job and not get paid. So I make it even more attractive. Up here in the back, I'll send the bus for you and pay for you if you don't have a car to get to me to come to the training. I will do the little extras for our people that I wouldn't do for someone on a permit. And our people still do not want to do these jobs and don't even turn up for the training, for one. And don't tell me, and I say to them, look, if you can't find your way here, let me know before the day of the training so I can send someone to pick you up. And it's no cost to you. I said, I'll pay you for your time. I'll even feed you while you're training. Not even that is an attraction.
And to your point prior in relation to our addiction, dependency almost on the work permit fees, to the caller's point, this is not something that's going to happen overnight. It'll take us years, maybe even a generation, even decades, right? Is it then that as a country, we've become so conditioned by what the government revenues from work permit fees, for instance?
Well, yeah, I would say we do have a dependency on them because they do bring in over $100 million a year now. But at the same time, we have other avenues that we are not heavily taxing, and those actually are directly related to the more wealthier people, like the shipping registry. Here's one. I'm going to throw it up there. Cousin Joel, you can message me later and tell me if I was wrong. I have no problem being corrected. But if you're going to have these multi-million-dollar yachts cruising around the world with our flag on it, you better friggin' know you're going to pay a lot of money a year for that. You pay peanuts.
Yeah. But you know what's interesting, right? The shipping registry. I don't think as a country we understand, and please accept that I have the highest regard for Mr. Walton and his team, and like you for maritime heritage, right? But I don't think that we as a country fully understand the significant worth and value of the shipping register to this country, and that probably we don't understand nor are we aware of how their revenue and their contribution is. Many of us probably think it's the fees. We'd probably be surprised if it's not, right? But secondly, people like Mr. Walton, his expertise, his respect internationally through his connections and experience, what that means for our country. Personally, I'm of the view that he is very much like the seafarers of yesteryear, those sea captains who were sought after because they knew what they were doing and they were respected and respectful. But I don't think that we value people like him. We'll take some two-bit, no use, no good, smell-looking face fool from somewhere and promote him, right?
Oh, yeah.
But you, me, the next one whose dog chewed up somebody's garbage because their grandfather's grandmother, aunt, uncle, cousin, friend, family did something 1,000 years ago, we still pay the price for it. And that may be part of the problem today.
That is a part of the problem.
So how do we address that?
We need to put policies and systems in place to address it. We do have some in place, but not everyone is utilizing it. And I don't even know, well, I'll be honest, like my experience with FOI and the FOI emails that are published that don't work, no one don't look at, no one don't check, that is the problem. That shows me the lack of my government being proficient in their duties to carry out the different systems that are in place. And I see it in the FOI. It's so broken down, it's pathetic. Nobody, Sterling, responds to the FOI email when you write it. You got to call, find the ministry for get the person that is now handling it and get their email.
Yeah.
Like yours would be Sterling Ebanks at gov.ky, whatever. I'm just saying, if we have the systems in place, then we need to enforce them. We need to make sure that they are working.
Enforcement.
And them working them.
Miss Carey, let me share this with you. Two of our listeners. One says, well said, Miss Carey, that's why I have to love you. Thank you. You know what you are talking about. And then another listener shares this. Says, in time, more than $100 million would be earned by Caymanians to benefit the economy. So with that, is it then that we may be getting a certain sum, let's say the $100 million as you reference, through work permit fees, but are we spending that amount or more in supporting those work permit holders through infrastructure development, through transfer payments in education, NAU, other assistance? Is it that at the end of the day, do we know whether we're doing this thing, whether it's benefiting us in a meaningful way?
I think I answered that just before you said exactly. But, I mean, it is what it is, Sterling. We have a broken government. Our government is so broken, and I'm sick of seeing the photos up there and the thing up there talking about we're doing this greatness, and we're not great. I'm sorry to tell the world, but the Cayman Islands government is not great. When you are letting everything fall apart around your own people, the ones that were the foundation builders of this country, not the Jamaicans, not the Hondurans, not the Colombians, not the English, our people. We were the foundation builders, and we seem to have forgotten that. And they're the ones that our native Caymanians, and I say it all the time because that is who we are. We're the ones that are getting the most crap thrown at us by our own government. Oh, please read my book. It's called Come Down My Time. Trust me, I swear no evil in it. Not one sentence is spared. And it's going to be a really good talker around the water fountain, around the cocktail tables, when they're taking their kickback money under the table.
Is it in print yet? Where can we get a copy?
It's going to be launched electronically. You can download it.
You can let us know. Give us a chance to read it, and then we can invite you to share it.
That goes over everywhere.
There you go. All right, Miss Carey. All the best to you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Hey, it's Tuesday, and we invite you tomorrow to join Mr. Art for the record. We've had a couple of things in store. We'll see whether we can have them. If not, there'll be some more of the opportunity afforded to each of you to share your thoughts and just do so in a constructive, informative way that it not only engages but encourages, not only inspires, but in a very meaningful way, insists that we speak the truth. Not our version of the truth, not the alternate truth, not the truth according to Bob, but the God, honest gospel truth. The truth they say shall set you free. Have a wonderful, safe, and productive afternoon. Remember, that face that reflects in the mirror as you look, to put on your makeup or to shave, is a face that should be one of honesty and integrity, one that stands in the gap and one that's willing to recognize that your invaluable contribution makes the world go round, but your inaction also contributes to the fall that we see facing so many. For young people in particular, sensing a sense of hopelessness, if they feel as if they're guests in their country, you have to ask yourselves, what are they feeling and why? Or where are they learning that, and is it being emphasized in school through instruction? Is it being something that they're feeling from their homes? A man without a country and without a home is a man that's lost. Join us tomorrow for more Talk Today. Until then, have a blessed afternoon.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And now, Barbados. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.